Welcome, everybody. My name is Terri Maxwell, and welcome to the Divine Shift. I'm really excited about this particular lesson. A lot of the insights that I'll share came from probably more failure than they did success. But we've got several experts that are going to talk about their own journey and how they co-created a purposeful business and how they're part of this divine shift. I like to think of Shiftco as a lot of business know-how with a little bit of woo-woo, and I like to think of myself that way. And you're going to hear some of that today because there is an element of having a conscious business that you can't use business training on. And at the same time, there are pieces of having a purposeful business that you really need business training for. So we're going to try to help you understand that distinction, and you're going to hear from people who have actually done that. So welcome very much to this. And we do these trainings. There's a couple per month. They're free for anyone that's a conscious entrepreneur to join, and obviously for our members as well. The next two that are coming up is a window into conscious leadership. And one of our master teachers is going to be presenting on that one. Meaningful Money, which is my next book, is going to be on meaningful money, how to align purpose and profit, will be in August. We have a couple more that are coming up in August that we don't have listed yet, but they are free for anyone to participate in. We really just want to advance the movement that is conscious entrepreneurship. So we're going to cover 6 things today. One is, I believe, our common purpose as conscious entrepreneurs in this divine shift, and that is making a bigger impact. That is what we have in common. When I look at all of the businesses that are in Shiftco, that's the thread that we all share, is we want to make a bigger impact. Second is, we'll talk about what the divine shift is. Third is, you're actually going to hear from one of our members who is really brought those elements together with her own transformation. And now she's really on both purpose and profits. Then we'll talk about how conscious entrepreneurship is different than traditional business. And then we'll have our director of programming talk about this topic that I love: conscious evolution is entrepreneurial. And then one of our coaches will talk about how we support members in growing a thriving business authentically. So I want to start with our purpose. So our stated purpose as a public benefit corporation is to support the development of conscious entrepreneurs in building socially and environmentally beneficial businesses. That is why we exist. And that means 3 things to us. One is business growth. We exist to ensure that you grow a business to make a bigger impact. That's what gets us up in the morning. That's what we think about when we're going to bed at night, is we want you to make a bigger impact. In order to do that, the business needs to grow so that it can make that bigger impact. Second is personal and leadership evolution. We believe that our business grows as we evolve. So we support members in finding your own power. And we believe that you are the guru, and all we're doing is providing tools and an environment, and you basically do that for yourself and your business. And you're going to hear about that today. Third is community is key. Our peer-led community supports members in Shiftco as well as the broader conscious community. So that's what that means to us. Now, how I reached that is really what I would call purposeful struggle. So I started Share on Purpose, Inc. It's like a purposeful Shark Tank 12 years ago. Pretty much this month, 12 years ago. I thought it was a piece of cake. I'd been a successful entrepreneur. Now I'm going to do good in the world. Piece of cake. Not so much. I found in a very, very painful way that growing a conscious business is not the same as growing a traditional business. The good news is a lot of great things came out of it. We developed this business cultivation process that's now called the Conscious Business Growth Platform. And we now have 6 brands that we've launched that are successful for the first time ever. All of our companies are profitable, which is the first time that's ever happened. And we've really used the failure to do good in the world. But through that journey, several of my clients over the last 12 years, particularly in the last 4 years, said, you've got to do something with this Conscious Business Growth Platform. We need to wrap a community around it. And then 2 years ago, they started becoming a little more forceful in the process and saying, we'll put up the money. What do we have to do? And so ShiftCo was really born out of that. Now, to me, what the divine shift means is I want to build something that matters. Although I have had several successful businesses, I was not always building something that mattered, and that does not feel good. Secondly, we want to do what we love, and we want the business to be really enjoyable. When you put those two things together, that's when you really get meaningful impact. And that's what I believe the divine shift is. Now, some conscious entrepreneurs start with making an attempt to build something that matters, but they don't always love it. Some conscious entrepreneurs start with what they love, but it doesn't necessarily seem to matter the way that they thought that it would. And I made those same mistakes. And the divine shift is really about bringing these together with purpose and profit so that we maximize our impact. And there are three things that you have to master to do that. Fit. So that means that you take out of the business the things that you don't like, or that you don't like as much as other things. That's really important to that yellow circle. Differentiation, which is a huge component, is being different in a way that matters to your buyer. We specialize in that, is really helping you sort that out, not just being different, but being different in a way that matters to the buyer that you want to work with. And then demand generation. Our coach that will be speaking today is our coach on the demand generation side, and she helps our members grow demand. So these components are really what the divine shift is all about. Now, the journey that I went on started with Succeed on Purpose. That was the first concept. And when I started Succeed on Purpose, first concept in 2009, I'm like, piece of cake. I know how to grow businesses. Now I'm growing a business that makes the world better. You know, it's going to be easy peasy. I struggled for the first, 12, 14 months growing Succeed on Purpose. I struggled. I mean, I would do all of these ads and commercials, all the stuff that I knew how to do to get someone to buy. None of that worked when I was building a conscious business. So this idea of the divine shift starts with, in many businesses, the motivation is not the work making a difference or the clients, it's really making money. And I had previously built businesses that made money. However, where for conscious entrepreneurs, our motivation has shifted. And sometimes it shifts too far. Mine did, where I was so focused on the meaning that I subjugated the making of money. Not a smart move to make. You wear yourself out that way. And I made that mistake when I first started, is okay, I can't get someone to buy. I'm just going to serve the world. And this was 2009, 2010, the economy was in the tank. There were, 8% to 15% unemployment, the highest unemployment that we'd seen since the Great Depression. And so I was out there trying to save the world and wasn't making any money in the process. So that doesn't work either. So it can't just be my motivation is meaning and making a difference. Here's the challenge. Meaning does not bring money. Just because it's meaningful for me does not mean that someone is going to buy it. And most of my struggle was really reconciling these three things: money, motivation, and meaning, and bringing them together in a way that's integrated. So we believe the divine shift occurs when we have both meaning, which means the business fits us, the target market we're serving, we love to work with, what we're doing on a day-to-day basis fills our cup, but that we're also making money so that we can create more value. That to us, it's what I call the giant and, is what the divine shift is. And I'll summarize it this way, and then I'm going to let you hear from somebody who's actually done it. And her story is unbelievable, where she's actually done this divine shift for herself and had the inner change that has to occur for the outer change in the business to manifest. We like to think of, we're going to mold and shape and define the business from this purposeful thing that we were born to do. I believe conscious entrepreneurs, the business chooses us. Unlike my previous non-conscious business where I'm good at this, I'm going to build a business doing this. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to force it. I'm going to, drive everything in there. And although it was successful, my soul was dying in the process. Conscious businesses are not that way. I believe our business chooses us, and it really is born through us, which is very different. So we don't want to squelch that. And the real ding, 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 aha here is much of the business growth training out there just squelches that and just kind of shuts it down. And it's more focused on, this is the way you grow a business. And it doesn't work because this business really chose us. It's got a life of its own. So what we're doing with the Divine Shift and helping really get both purposeful work and building a profitable business is we're going to take the part of your business that you were born to do. The business chose you, and we're going to just mold and shape it and recast it and form it into something of perceived value, something the buyer will pay for. We're not going to change you. We're not going to change the business. We're just going to pull together the pieces of the business that we can really serve to your buyer in a way that shows them maximum value. Now, in this summary, and then I'm going to turn it over to somebody who's actually done it, I like to think of it as we're co-creating. So we're co-creating with you, we're co-creating with whatever you believe that higher power to be. All of that is working together. So it's not like this is the way you do it, you've got to do it this way. There's a lot of co-creating, and that's why the community aspect is so important, and why those previous clients of mine 4 years ago started hammering me, this needs to be a community, is they were right, because we co-create through community. We give each other feedback, we collaborate, we work together. The second thing is, the key is to incorporate business strategies. So differentiation, that's a business strategy. It's not easy to do. Our head hurts when we do it, but it's worth it. And we work with our intuition and energetic alignment. Again, you're going to hear a speaker described, which is why I asked her to be on here today, because she's done this very thing. She listened to her soul. She listened to that connection and she followed it. She just basically started combining it with some of the business strategies. Third analogy is we're like the artist. As a conscious entrepreneur, we're creating a masterpiece with divine inspiration and intuitive downloads. Most of what I've created in the last 12 years have come from those intuitive downloads, but I'm able to put them into a container called a business strategy that I know what to do with it, so the business is actually successful. And I would say this, the methods that we provide are the canvas and the frame for your divinely inspired art. And you are the artist and you are the guru. We're just going to help you frame that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the brand mythologist, and she's going to describe what she did to really bring together the divine shift. So Cassie, over to you.
Thank you, Terri. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to share with you on this webinar, The Divine Shift. Each of you are here today at different paths in your journey in business. And since you're here, you may not fit the traditional mold of a conventional business owner. Each of you may be motivated by similar or different values, and understanding what fuels why you wake up in the morning is of the utmost importance when it comes to growing your business. Terri presents me as an example of someone who has grown in both purpose and profit. I am a passionate creative. I don't easily submit to authority and need to create my own unique path. Anybody else like that in here? Yeah. Well, with a well-rounded background in the fine arts, I move toward developing meaningful, unforgettable experiences. I am the brand mythologist, and I help courageous brands connect deeply with the story of their relationship with their audience through brand consulting, brand identity design, and website design. And in the past year, through multiple efforts and conscious training through ShiftCo, have tripled my income by following my joy. My path to growth may or may not fit yours, but if you resonate with what fuels me, you may find some insight about your own path ahead. Slide. Ripening. A creative's journey to scaling for impact, from freelancer to creator of brand experiences. Slide. Answering the call, being willing to show up. A quote from mythologist Joseph Campbell: "The big question is whether you are going to be able to say a hearty yes to your adventure." A couple of years ago, I was at a fork in the road. I had recently been phased out of a design agency that provided nearly 100% of my income. I was recently divorced. I had 2 daughters to provide for, and I had a choice. I could look for another design job, or I could venture out on my own. Full-time freelancer, getting clients, making the sales, showing up, being seen. This scared the you-know-what out of me. But every time I looked at job boards, I felt dead inside. And when I thought about my potential of growing my own business, I felt a raging fire within me. What did I want to be for my girls? An example of doing the known, or carving my path, lit with passion, into the unknown? You can guess which one I chose. My piece of advice: choose your hearty yes in all that you do. Slide. Committing to your desires and developing the confidence to create. When adventuring to new levels of being and growth, you're heading in a direction to create a way you may have never created before, or maybe beyond what you have ever imagined. When I entered the Shiftco community about a year ago, my first group interactions was in an 8-week prosperity challenge. In that challenge, we were to choose something that we wanted to create in our lives. And the masterful teacher, Terri, gauged our confidence level to create whatever we wanted. When starting, my confidence to create whatever I wanted was at about a 60%. I also chose something pretty big to go after in the prosperity challenge. At the time, we were looking for a home to move into, outgrowing our apartment. I declared, I want to build a home. Where's that huge chunk of cash going to come from? Today, our house recently had the basement cement poured and shingles put on the roof. My confidence to create anything that I want is at about a 90% now. And you can bet that translates to my confidence to create what I want in my business. It's a fuel loop, a passion snowball effect. My question to you: what if you had the confidence to create your hearty yes? What if you could amaze yourself? Slide. Embracing both linear and non-linear paths to growth. Balance your time between strategic, procedural actions and excitement-generating experiments. To be a business owner and to be sustainable, you need to be strategic and understand which activities you know will likely generate income. A large portion of my days goes toward activities that directly bring in income. Deliver on the project, take care of the customer, create a great experience, putting myself out there positioned by exactly what I do. Nonlinear growth is a different animal, because not everything that you do is a direct path to growth tomorrow. Perhaps following your excitement in creating a new unrelated project or developing a skill or volunteering somewhere does not directly cause you to grow. But what I found is that following your excitement on new projects or connecting with people in contexts outside of business creates unexpected future opportunities. My advice: balance your time between what you know generates growth and following your excitement down new paths of connection. Slide. Keep the fires burning. Heat things up. Challenge yourself. I don't know about you, but keeping my fire going is essential to my success. Part of this for me is challenging myself and deepening my expertise. When I decided to show up as the brand mythologist, I told myself, well, that's a lot to take in. What a massive potential this is. I had a basic understanding of branding through story, but I knew I needed to adopt a Kaizen mindset, continually deepening and learning and pushing my edge. And so I deepened my expertise in mythology by reading books that took 15 minutes to digest just one paragraph. I challenged myself to walk the walk and begin writing. And now I have written my first short story. I've pushed past my comfort zone in experimenting with new processes with my clients. For those of you who are bored when they are not learning or evolving, this is key when growing. Maturing your expertise and your process is part of growth. My advice: keep your fires burning by continually sharpening your expertise and evolving your customer experiences. Slide. Creating your own category. Someone asked me a couple of weeks ago, there are so many brand consultants out there. How do you stand out from the competition? And I answered, I don't worry about competition anymore. I know that I'm meant to work with specific businesses. I will find them, or they will find me, and we'll know. And if they are not a good match, they are meant for someone else, and I happily release them. Time to bring in the Shifco big guns here. One of the most powerful parts of my maturation in turning my uniqueness, both in value, process, and audience, into conscious differentiation. Creating my own category. With the help of my Shifco coaches, I was able to strongly tap into my own unique category. And in creating this, I no longer worry about what Susie or Johnny is doing next to me. In fact, I've made great connections in Shifco with other creatives, many of which do a portion of what I do as well. When you're doing something unique, it's much easier to grow because you become specific and rare. My advice: don't make your business a template of someone else's. Find your unique value and run with it. Slide. Devoting your heart to your dream audience. People. In my beginning phases of growth, I was a yes woman. I said yes to everything that came in the door to gain more experience, to generate income, to gain confidence. In that yes to everything, there were a few draining experiences along the way. But once I started to feel confident in my value and not so scared to say no, I made a vow to myself. In January 2021, I vowed that I would only work with people that would love to work with me, and I would love to work with them. Another manifestation of the hearty yes. I decided that I wanted mutual, professional adoration in my client relationships, and I wanted to help them meet their dreams. And so I started using the word no, but also my yes became big. My advice: you can't scale what drains you. Choose relationships that build you up. Slide. Developing unforgettable experiences. One of the coolest parts of scaling for me has been to fully realize and exercise my ability to create multi-sensory, meaningful experiences for my clients based on what they're most desiring. I've listened to my clients' feedback of what was missing for them, and I've responded full-heartedly. I no longer deliver designs off the Cassie shelf, so to say. I deliver ceremony. I deliver meaning. I deliver transcendence through the branding experience. Through integrating my skills in music, the visual arts, understanding people, and my deepening expertise in mythology, I have scaled my one-on-one services to include more experiential collaborations, as well as I have begun a product extension of brand mythology trainings, where I scale to creating these experiences for groups in a way that does not compete with my core services. My advice? Focus on how you make your audience feel. Ask yourself how you can improve your relationships and expand experiences in a satisfying way. Slide. Understanding your unique cycles of expansion and growth. Who in here feels that they are introverted? Yeah, maybe a few in here. That's me. The introvert who is good with people. Yeah? I have had seemingly conflicting values of achieving growth and needing to be in my cave of solitude. Growth is not a straight line day to day. Sometimes, like the moon, you need to disappear for a while. And that's okay. And not only okay, but necessary. Terri can attest to me hopping on a coaching call in tears because of how overwhelmed I felt. And you know what she told me? She said, I want you to spend the time planned for this call and go for a walk. Go get yourself a nutritious meal. My advice? Take care of your heart and health first. Growth, like the moon or the tides, comes in phases. Honor what your unique growth phases are and balance that with what matters most to you in life. Slide. Reinventing yourself daily with new habits and practices. To go where you have not gone before, you must practice what you've not practiced before. The challenge and beauty of entrepreneurship is seeing yourself as an ever-evolving being. In order to grow, I challenged myself to take on new behaviors I previously did not feel comfortable with. Waking up earlier, taking on new skills, showing up more in front of people, feeling bigger in my mindset, being around other people who are lovingly evolving always is a beautiful way to support you in this butterfly phase. My question to you, what would it take for you to move one step in the direction of growth? What new behavior are you ready to adopt? Slide. Finding your conjunction, aligning your unique high-value services with your greatest passions and a clear market need. There are schools of thought in business that say, own your value, charge what you're worth, etc. But I actually had specific criteria that needed to be met in order to expand my services and prices. I am not a fake it till you make it kind of girl. 1, I needed to see results in clients that prove my high value in my services. 2, I needed to identify which of those services answer a big need from my clients and is harder to find anywhere else. Cue differentiation. 3, I needed my prices to be in those sweet spots and to raise them incrementally and test the value exchange, meaning where do clients find importance and where are they willing to invest in a way that meets my passion and gifts? In this way, for some of my services, I've tripled my rate from a year and a half ago. But again, not for the sake of raising prices, but of fully owning and delivering that value to my clients. My advice: your differentiation is your key to scaling. I want you to contemplate one thing that you've been secretly or not so secretly wanting to do in your personal life or business, something you're passionate about, and go for it. Stoke that fire. Thanks for having me on, Terri.
Cassie, thank you so much. And, I really wanted Cassie to speak on this particular topic because really all we really do in ShiftCo is unleash what is already in you. That's it. I mean, at the end of the day, and we just give you little tools and roadmaps and things to really pull out what is already in you. And Cassie's a perfect example of that she came with the fire already there. She came with the know-how. What she needed was confidence, and she needed people to believe in her, and she needed somebody to help pull that differentiation and put it into words that a buyer would resonate with. She needed a way to do authentic marketing that didn't feel like she was trying to get someone to buy. And the most exciting thing of having watched her grow in the last year is when she started doing these product extensions, where she began to find other ways to grow her income that didn't require her to be behind a computer doing creative work 100% of the time, which gave her another outlet. And the key is that outlet was already in her. And what ShiftCo understands that is very different than a traditional kind of business growth community or platform is we really understand that divine spark that is in a conscious entrepreneur. They are different. I was different. I had had a different awakening, and all of these things that I knew about business weren't working for me. And I'll give you just 3 examples of that, and I'll tie it back to what you heard with Cassie. A traditional entrepreneur will say, will someone buy my product? What you heard Cassie say is, will this solve a problem? Will it get results for my client? Conscious entrepreneurs are driven by that. And in the, charge, you fake it till you make it, charge what you're worth, all of that advice that comes from traditional business doesn't work for us because it's not authentic. We need to feel like we're solving a problem and making an impact. So an example of that is really what we call value-based pricing, is we help you strike a balance between the value that you're providing, which is the second piece, and the not just charging more to charge more. So whereas a traditional entrepreneur says, well, what will someone pay? What are other people charging? A conscious entrepreneur really wants to know what the value is. What is the worth? We just give you mechanisms to assess that. That's it. So in the courses on pricing and the Money and Merlot happy hour, that's what we're working on, is the value-based pricing scale. And how do you know how much value that you're providing? Now, there's a spectrum here. A traditional entrepreneur is like, what will someone pay? What's the market rate for this? A early stage conscious entrepreneur basically says, well, what will someone pay me? And we're afraid to really charge because we don't understand the worth. What we do with differentiation and demand is we help you really extract that worth so it feels authentic. And when you're putting your proposal out there or your rate on your website, it's like pass the salt, because you know what your value is. That's really all we're really doing. And then the last thing, and you can see it in our entire community, in a traditional entrepreneurial community, it's how much money can I make and how big is my house and car. And again, I used to hang out in those circles. I was one of those people, and it brought me no value. I mean, I built a $7 million a year business, and I was dying in my own business. I had the house, I had the car, I had everything that I ever wanted, 4 vacations a year, but my soul was dying. What a conscious entrepreneur says, can I make a difference? And again, what we understand at ShiftCo with this divine shift and making a meaningful impact is our tools have been adapted to pull these things out of you that are already there. Now, I want to bring in another expert who's our director of programming. I feel honored that he joined our team. And I'll let him give a little bit of his background, but there is a phrase that he said. Stephen, I want you to introduce yourself, and then I'll pull up the phrase that you said that just it was one of those things I was like, whoa, that's it. And we'll bring that up in just a second, but I would love for you to talk just a little bit about your background, and then we'll move to this phrase that you and I are locked in on now. Take it away, Stephen.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. See if I can give you a short version of a long story as far as my background is concerned. I come from a really deep experience in corporate America, and I've been an entrepreneur. And I've also have pursued other things like pastoral counseling. So I've got an integration of all these things that have come together. Ultimately, what I found out was in the interest of conscious business. And I'm fully aligned with what we're doing in ShiftCo and helping our members build conscious brands and do things for the highest good, frankly, because my corporate America experience, is fulfilling as it was to be like functionally successful. Terry, I relate to what you said about how it doesn't fill the soul, and that's what I need to do to be of service, for me professionally, as well as for contributing to a better world.
And so, Stephen, the quote on the right is mine. That was your business grows as you evolve, because that is one of the things that ShiftCo really understands that is very different about conscious entrepreneurship, is we have to evolve as a conscious entrepreneur for our business to grow. Hardest lesson for me to learn was that. But Stephen, this phrase, conscious evolution, is in itself entrepreneurial. The first time I heard you say that, it was just like this lightning bolt. Tell us a little bit about what you mean by that, and then a little bit of the background behind it.
Sure. So conscious evolution is entrepreneurial. So going back to what Cassie said, we're ever evolving beings, and whether we want to admit it or not, and it's really our own fears and doubts that think we're not, but we are. And if you think about, I would just invite you first for a really quick second, think about who you are and where you are right now. And think about all of the generations of your ancestors that came before you. And you would not be here right now if all of the previous generations didn't live with a certain level of risk and daring and focus and gumption to live fulfilling lives. So all of that gumption, that courage, that overcoming challenge from all of your ancestors is encoded in you. And really that's encoded in evolution. The universe is 13.8 million years old, and all of the components that make up you, from the calcium in your bones to the iron in your blood, have been here since the beginning of the universe. And everything that has caused the universe to evolve to this point is encoded in you. So conscious evolution is indeed entrepreneurial. It is not at all stagnant. So when I look at words and terms, I always like to look at the dictionary definition, because sometimes it gives me deeper insight into how the history of the word and how it came to be. And what I love about the word entrepreneurship is that it has its origins in this idea of an entrepreneur was originally a manager or promoter of a theatrical production. And that was really motivating to me, because it means that as entrepreneurs, really, we're all producers of the greatest show on earth, which is us, because there is no one like you on earth. And as an entrepreneur, you are promoting your own production. And over time, the word evolved to mean business manager. But the root of that, think about that. The root of that is that you are a theatrical production is something creative. It is something that people enjoy doing and enjoy witnessing. So, congratulations to all of you for being promoters of your own productions. And on the left-hand side of this slide, just really briefly, take a mindful minute. In our ShiftCo business meetings, we often do this, is before we start a meeting, we basically get centered, and we just take a minute to get aligned with the spirit of our own entrepreneurialism and our conscious evolution. And then from that center, we can move on and have even a more productive meeting.
And I love that idea that we're a manager and a promoter of a theatrical production. And I think that's why the divine shift is so important, that more conscious entrepreneurs are more successful because they can create, as Cassie said, a better experience for their customers, regardless of the discipline. And when I saw this, when the first time we were talking about this, I was like, that's exactly it. To me, that's why conscious entrepreneurship is so powerful. And it also relates back to the sacred story of creation. And I know you've got a huge history here that I would love for you to share, because when you bring that together with the spirit of entrepreneurship, magic happens.
Yeah. So I had the honor of working with the author and futurist Barbara Marx Hubbard just in the last literally year and a half of her life on her last two programs. And Barbara is basically the mother of the field of conscious evolution. And the story of how she started along that path was that when she was a young woman, her father was affluent, and her father, Louis Marx, knew President Eisenhower. And Barbara had the occasion to meet with President Eisenhower in the White House. And she's like 21 years old at this time. And this is in the wake of World War II. We had dropped 2 nuclear weapons on Japan, and Barbara was like fascinated by the technology that was able to create that, and disturbed by the destruction that all caused. So she went into President Eisenhower with this question, and she said, may I ask you a question, Mr. President? He says, sure. And Barbara asks, so Mr. President, what's the meaning behind our newfound technological power, in this case, splitting the atom, that is good? And he just is flabbergasted by the question and says to her, frankly, I don't know. And that was the event that set Barbara on her quest to really found the field of conscious evolution. And the idea being that we have the choice as intelligent, not only sentient beings, but intelligent beings, Homo sapiens, that we have the choice whether to evolve or to devolve. And nuclear war is the biggest, perhaps, example of how we would choose to devolve. And if you think about all of the genius it takes to create that, imagine if we can apply that to evolution. So the spirit of entrepreneurship and the evolutionary impulse is that we can't not evolve. One of the things I like what Terri says is that she cannot not grow conscious businesses. And it's that if you really are honest with yourself and you're in tune with that thing that you cannot not do, that's conscious evolution working through you. And that's the evolutionary impulse. So in business, the entrepreneurial spirit indeed is the evolutionary impulse, and we're all encoded for it.
And what I love about this as it relates to conscious entrepreneurship is business has devolved. And it's come to making money, pushing products, selling at all costs, hitting the quarterly returns. Don't worry about a quality product. Don't worry about a great place for your employees to work. And conscious entrepreneurship, I believe, is the evolutionary impulse that there is a better way. And for me, it brings us back to the roots. When my first entrepreneurial mentor was my grandfather. He had a juice bar in Sarasota, Florida, and he taught me so much about customer service, and that profit is the tip that your customers give you when you serve them well. And so when I got into the business world, having this contrast of what my grandfather had taught me very young, it was like, this isn't business. This is what my grandfather said business was. And the reason why we advocate so much at ShiftCo in anywhere will help any conscious entrepreneur in any way that we can, is because we believe that your evolutionary impulse is the thing that will change business and get it back to something that is not devolving, but truly evolving back to its original state. The original entrepreneurs, they were focused on a product that made their community better. They wanted to make a good living for their family, but they also wanted to make their community better. They thrived on that. And we've lost that spirit. And I believe conscious entrepreneurs really bring that back.
So conscious evolution is entrepreneurial. So despite our fears, our blocks, our self-doubt, most of which are socialized and they're not inherent to us at all, you are Homo universalis. So we think of a human being as being Homo sapiens. Well, Barbara was a proponent that as evolving human beings, consciously evolving, we become Homo universalis. That is, that we take a universal view of our existence here on Earth and what we can contribute, whether that's through business or our other endeavors. So as Homo universalis, or the universal human, first and foremost, we are all coded with mindset readiness. 13.8 million years of an evolving universe means we cannot not be coded with that. You are endowed with mindset awareness. So again, you can make the conscious choice to practice awareness and then gain whatever insights, wisdom and then frankly, the nudge from the evolutionary impulse to do what is yours to do. And then ultimately you have the evolutionary impulse for mindset development. And in ShiftCo, one of the things that we are, one of the pillars of our platform is that we provide you with training from our master teachers and the wisdom of our community and the collaboration to support your evolutionary impulse for mindset development, which leads to all of those things that Terri and Cassie talked about, to expanding and growing your business for the greatest good.
And helping you step into a higher vision of yourself. That's the thing. When I hear someone like Cassie talk, that's what gets me excited. It's not just that her business tripled, but she transformed, and the ripple effect of the impact that she's having on other members and on her clients. And when she speaks out in the community, never mentioning ShiftCo, the ripple effect of that is she's unleashed this part of herself. As the majority of our members have, we've unleashed this part of ourselves that is natural, innate. It's who we really are. And all we're doing is just really helping that be unleashed. Our last speaker today is one of our coaches. And from the moment I met her, I was instantly like, I got to know this girl. And she joined us a little over a year ago, and then she became a coach in January. She's our master coach for authentic demand generation. So Michelle, tell us about you and your journey, and tell us how you help members learn how to grow a business authentically.
Thanks, Terri. So my background is sales. I have over 20 years of corporate sales experience, plus having been an entrepreneur for the last 7 years. And my passion and my love is helping people to sell authentically, to really express who they are in the sales process so they enjoy it. And that's what I do at ShiftCo as the master trainer for demand, is help people to create this authentic demand where they're attracting more of their ideal clients versus going out and hunting. So the principle that I think of is that they harvest versus hunt. So it's a more effortless, and it's, you've heard Cassie and Stephen and Terri speak to, one of the things that we do here at ShiftCo is really help you evolve into this natural gift that you are, and you become this beacon of light that differentiates you in the marketplace wherever you go. You could be in a room full of people doing exactly what you do, but you shine so brightly and brilliantly because you're so tuned in to the gift that you are, that people want to know you. One of the questions that I love, that when we work with people, they start going out as they evolve, they start hearing questions like, well, who are you? What do you do? Like, people just magnetically, automatically want to know more about you. And Cassie's going, yep, right? And it's that gift, and that's the work. So the work comes with, how do you combine what we call the woo-woo, the heart and spirit of what you do and how you do it, how you communicate it, with the truth that business is sequential steps that must happen on a regular, ongoing basis. There's a lot of things in business that are traditional, that are necessary for growth, but how do we combine it in a manner that it feels good to you, so that when you're out there and you're speaking on your business and you're delivering and you're talking about what you do, that you're doing it from a place of love. And I use love in business because it's love is what is we're doing. We are changing humanity and the community that we created here at ShiftCo. And the way we do that is invoking that love. I tell people, no one can beat you at being you. So how do we help you love who you are? Then you no longer compete. You create, as you heard it said repeatedly here. So you go from scarcity of trying and seeking to the abundance that there's enough to go around. You do not worry that if you refer, you do not worry if it's not yours, that you have to get the sale. You know that business and selling rarely goes the way you think it will, yet it's always working in your favor. And that's a little ism I created as being a part of ShiftCo and working with Terri and Stephen and Cassie and all these other conscious creatives to learn that, oh my God, yes, that was the missing component, was that things rarely go the way I think they will, yet they're always working in my favor. And that's the personal commitment as coaches and as leadership we have here at ShiftCo, is that we help you find that for yourself. So there is a pathway and a process that goes, but that pathway must have your own thumbprint on it. So you get to take and build it as you need to build it, because everywhere you go, there you are. Every morning you wake up, there you are. Every time someone says no, there you are. So having the strength and the confidence and the courage to know that it's okay and it's always working in your favor is how we help you in the face of business. What many business other trainings don't teach you. They say, if you do this, you'll have that. Well, if I do what Terri did or Marilyn did or Cassie did, it's not going to be the same. So I can't then go back to you and to ask you what's wrong. You can't tell me what's wrong. I must know and trust that pathway for myself. And that's what we do with authentic demand. And what is authenticity? Authenticity at its nature is an undisputed original. I love the definition. And I love that Stephen did that. I look up words in the dictionary and the thesaurus as well, right? So when you go to the thesaurus, it's credible, real, reliable, trustworthy. And that's what we're helping you to have that sense. And when you have that energy around that, it's magnetic. We are all spiritual beings having a human experience. And when your spirit aligns with the gift that you are and the meaning and the motivation, you will attract what you're meant to attract in business. And that's how we blend that, the woo-woo with the true, so that you just shine and you do business exceptionally and exceedingly well. And that's what we love about what we do here at ShiftCo.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for the way that you serve members and how you go the extra mile to help them find their magic when they're doing demand generation. And the beautiful thing about authentic demand generation and the way that we teach it is you figure out what works for you. We're just going to give you a flow. It's not lead magnets and click funnels, because none of that's authentic. We're just going to give you a flow so that you understand how your buyer buys. But you do you, and you apply that the way that it works for you. And every member in ShiftCo that's using authentic demand generation is doing it differently. There's not like one way to do it. You got to follow these, 10 easy steps and you too can be a 7-figure entrepreneur. None of that is accurate when you're a conscious entrepreneur. You do you. We just help you map out how your buyer buys, and then you figure out which activities you enjoy doing to meet your buyer where they are. And that's really what the magic is. So in a nutshell, that's what the divine shift is. It's really, you already have everything you need inside of you to be successful. All we are doing is helping you pull that out so that you can see it, helping you wrap it in this beautiful gift that your buyer that you've selected, you select the buyer that you want to serve, that gift that we're pulling out of you so you can see it. We're helping you wrap it in a package that the buyer will instantly recognize. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And then we're helping you do what you do so the world can find out about it. So we have these free trainings, as I mentioned, several times a month. You can attend as many as you want. And some of them are just for members, but a large portion of them are for conscious entrepreneurs that are not yet members. Because we are about the work of helping conscious entrepreneurs make a bigger impact in the world. Whether you're a member or not, we're going to serve you. And we thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Cassie, again, for telling your amazing, insightful story and just being a role model in our community for what it means to really step into your power and really bring that gift forward. Stephen, thank you for being part of our leadership team. You've made my life better. And I know that collaborating with you and the other leadership team members, we're going to do a lot of good in the world. And Michelle, you know, you are a lightning rod for good is the way, whenever somebody asks me about Michelle, I say she's a lightning rod for good. So, and to all of our members that have joined us, thank you so much for being part of our community. Thank you for being part of the Divine Shift. And we wish you prosperous impact, meaningful money so that you can make the world better. Thanks, everybody.